our presentation tonight, we have a reception, so I hope that you will stay and enjoy some refreshments and enjoy some fellowship. May we begin with a word of prayer. Loving and eternal God, we give you thanks for this day that you have given to us to live in your love and to serve you. We thank you for our missionaries and all they are able to share with us tonight. May we be supportive, may we be inspired to share your word in our own places of life and living. And may we open our hearts and our ears and our minds to learn and partner and imagine the possibilities involved in all those things. For we pray in Christ's name. Amen. Now I would like to introduce Linda Cussybot, who is the pastor here for 4 years, and she will introduce our guests, and I don't know what else she'll do, so we'll just stand back and be surprised. We are live streaming, so if you do leave the room for a moment, you might want to go by way of the side aisles and not down the center aisle, because then you'll be up close and personal with everybody joining us by live stream. But thank you for those of you who are joining us by live stream. Thanks.
Thank you, Pastor Elizabeth, for that very warm introduction. I promise that's all I'm going to do, is introduce. Ever since I read a wonderful book by a pastor named Alejandro Mendez, and he talks about the multi-ethnic future of the church, I've been living very consciously in commitment with the 3 GCs. Do you know what the 3 GCs are? I didn't either before I read the book. First of all are the great commandments. To love God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength. And the second is what? Love your neighbor as yourself. That's the first GC, the great commandments. The second is the Great Commission. Go into all the world and make disciples for Jesus Christ, baptizing them in the name of our great triune God. And the third comes from the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter, the great community that God is gathering, every nation, every tribe, every tongue. And some of that church is already worshiping at the throne of grace in eternity. Some of us are being gathered now. But when you think of those 3 GCs, the Great Commandments, the Great Commission, the great community God is gathering from all ends of the earth, I don't know anyone who works better for those great promises to God than Volunteers in Mission. Volunteers in Mission partners with local people who know their culture well, who know their needs. They supply accountability, direction when it's needed, creativity, perseverance, spiritual strength, trust in Jesus. So, in my humble opinion, we have 2 real saints of the Universal Church here with us tonight. Lulu. She was Lulu Ramirez when I first knew her, and a few months later married Rich. She had been a widow serving the Lord, and now they are a team together. Lulu Moroska and her dear husband, Rich Moroska. Lulu is Director of Volunteers in Mission for Guatemala and a missionary with the General Board of Global Ministry. Rich is a missionary from the Western Pennsylvania Conference. They have done and continue to do heroic work in Guatemala in very difficult circumstances. So please give them a warm welcome, and I hope you'll also give them your hearts.
Hello, how are you doing?
Great.
I would ask you a big favor. Could you remind me to stay close to the microphone, please? Because, just like that. Because I am always walking around the audience and I forget to do this. So thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction, Linda. Thank you for inviting me here, Bar. I'm from Mexico. I'm serving as a volunteer in mission. As Linda said, we have been married since May 25th, 2019, and we married in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I am a business manager, which I quit my job in order to apply and become a full-time missionary. I guess God has given us so much gifts and talents that it's time to share with the world the good news and what Jesus Christ did in my life. So thank you, because you're gonna see some discrepancy in my last name, but I promise you I'm the same one. Lourdes Ramirez and Lourdes Moroska, I'm the same one. Thank you very much.
My name is Rich Moroska. I come from Western Pennsylvania. I worked in underground coal mining for 26 years. I did mission around Johnstown area, around Pennsylvania, around the whole United States, and then God grabbed me and moved me to Nicaragua. I lived in Nicaragua for 6 years. That's where I met Lou, and now we're serving both together in Guatemala, because I said, Bishop, but my bishop in Pennsylvania, I need to go to Guatemala. Please let me go. She said, yes, go. So we serve together as I'm a missionary from my conference in Guatemala.
And that's how you can see my personal Facebook. I appeared as Lourdes Moroska. So let me start talking about a little about Guatemala. Some of you have been there. But where is Guatemala located? Exactly where Mexico finishes in the south part. We have also a Facebook for BIM Guatemala, and that's how we appear. And we always say thank you to our donors, because this couldn't be possible if you weren't helping us. We connect the church in mission. We don't do the things alone and by ourselves. It's because you are building and helping to grow God's kingdom that we can be serving outside. And us as missionaries from Global Ministries, we are more than 300 serving out there in the world. So thank you for all your donations. Let me start talking about our Methodist Church in Guatemala. We have more than 106 churches down there. We do not have a bishop. We have a president. The president is Pastor Tomas Riquiac, and he's standing beside Rich. They are elected for 2 years, but they could be re-elected at all 4 years running the Methodist Church. The rest of them are national pastors. From 106 churches, we have just one female pastor. And the language that is almost always spoken there is Quiche. And they are mainly in the Quiche area. What is Guatemala? I mean, we know that there's some place in the world called Guatemala, yeah, but what's going on in Guatemala? Okay, let me tell you, unfortunately, the education is not, we don't have the opportunities there for our kids like you do here. From every 10 kids in Guatemala, only 2 will complete high school. And these people, these young people, they can't have the opportunity to find a good job there because they do not know how to read and write. In 1965, it was imposed to them to learn Spanish, but they learned Spanish at the school. But if you don't go to school, how do you know and learn Spanish? And how do you know how to read and write? There is no possibility. So 79% of our people in rural areas are living in poverty. Those are some living conditions that you will see out there in the Western Highlands. 90% of our kids will never graduate from high school, and 33% of our indigenous brothers and sisters cannot read and write. Lifestyle in rural areas. The indigenous population suffers of discrimination. During the war that they had there, their goal, I guess, it was to get rid of the indigenous people. So all of them flee to the highlands, hide and hid there for years. So unfortunately, it makes really difficult for them to access to services there. Can you talk to them about that soon, please? Here.
Did everybody hear me?
No, you didn't hear me because we're at the started.
Okay. Because I'm only speaking one way, not too much. Okay, the black soot you see on these tops of these houses inside, it's from them cooking on the ground. They cook on the ground inside their homes. And they have big pieces of wood, big fires going, and they don't realize that it gets into their lungs. They have trouble with their eyes, with their health and everything. I worked in coal mining. I know what that black dust is all the time. So we always protected ourselves. But they're in there with their kids 24 hours a day because they use that stove to cook with, and they use that stove to heat with. So the families are getting warm, and they sleep right there too. So it's like, wow, really, really, really. So with stove projects that are down there, it helps them with their health and with their water.
When we had a huge donation during COVID, let me tell you something. The president from Guatemala is a doctor, so he literally shut down the country. We were locked there down for 8 months. Borders were closed, nobody comes in, nobody goes out. So public transportation was almost canceled. So if you don't have the way to go to your job, how do you work? How do you get an earning? So we had a very good donation that we really appreciate, and we were distributing food. You could see that old couple up there. They are laying in their bed. Could you appreciate their bed? The other pictures are, I show you here, one of the stoves where the lady cook, open fire complete, and up there is one of the houses that is made of adobe, and they are receiving the benefit of one of those stoves. These are some of the living conditions from our brothers and sisters. You could see the houses, the material they use for the houses. You could see an old lady kneeling down there where she cooks. In the middle, in the bottom, you will see another old stove. And this is a place where they do their laundry and they also take showers. The picture that you see up there is one of our Methodist churches. And those are some of the members of our Methodist church that are receiving a bag of food. Do you see the smile of that girl? What do you think she received? A toy? What do you think she received? She was so happy because she received a bag of food supplies. So what some of the mothers could, yes, sure? Food supplies, milk, powder, sugar, rice, beans, something that could help them. When they were receiving these food supplies, some of the women told me that they were so grateful because they didn't know the brothers and sisters from America that were blessing them, but they were really grateful because their kids could be able to have 3 meals a day as long as that bag of food lasted. Because at that moment they were just doing 1 meal a day. So, yep. And we have another family on top, right there. And you can see maybe that's a bathroom for them, or maybe that's their house. I don't really know. But look how happy the family is because they have a bag of food. So thank you for your donations because it goes to the people that really need it. Schools. Let me tell you something. You tell me, imagine that I am your mom and you're all, that 5 of you are my kids. What is the sense of you going to school if I get an earning of $3 or $5 a day and that's all I have to feed you? So what do? You quit school and you start working. Well, that's what you see up there. You could see another stove where the people cook, but then you will see kids that might be around 11 years old. We have been there building stoves, but they are not at school. They are working. They are making, in that moment, they are making shoes to sell it, to have a profit and to help the family to get an earning and have something decent to eat every day. Girls, they start getting married when they are 12, 13, 14 years old, and they start having babies. So if you don't go to school, you don't know how to read and write, and you don't have an opportunity for a job, what do? You develop the skills that you were taught when you were a girl. So that's mainly what they are doing. What else do we do? We also built churches with some donors from North Carolina. We also have had wheelchair distribution. We had the food distribution due to COVID. We had two hurricanes that hit Guatemala, Eta and Iota, one after another, and some of those communities were completely wiped out. You want to tell them about the Eta and Iota?
Okay. When they build houses right next door to the hillsides. So when these two hurricanes came through, it dumped a lot of rain, lots of rain. Mudslides came down the mountains. Waterways got so flooded that they wiped out homes and stuff like that. And there was one young guy, his name was Maximus. He was so happy. And Lou asked him, why are you so happy? And he said, God gives and God takes away. And he said, I'm alive. But when he was going to go to see his house, because his neighbor called him and said, you better get to your house because you need to get your stuff out of there because you might not have a house by morning. He was somewhere, and when he was coming, there was a landslide, and he couldn't make it to his house till the next day. And when he came to the next day, his house was down over the hillside, and down over the hillside the whole way down. So, but he was so happy like a lark, you know. He said, wow, his faith in Jesus Christ and his hope of everything going on is really, really, you know, mind-boggling to us sometimes. But to them, their faith is really superb.
Thank you. And you could see up there is Rich with him. That was his living room. And yeah, when I asked him, why are you so happy? He said, I am alive. I'm alive. God will give me resources again to rebuild this. Really, I met the new job there in Cunene. Here you could see that when we go out to the communities, we do not just throw the money. We are completely accountable with the donors, but we go out and we ask the people, what do they really need? It's not, our project is what they really need. So we try to build these relationships with the communities down there.
Were there many people that, when they went through these forms, that were filled?
Yes.
Let me see if you can, okay. You see the mud behind me? Okay, that was the mud that they removed that we could pass in that road. Wait. That means that many people died. There was a place where we couldn't make it called the island, where as far as I know, 200 houses were wiped out just like that. And when we were distributing those cement blocks and all that building supplies, this was a grant from UMCOR, $10,000 that UMCOR gave us. They were telling us the stories, that it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and they could hear like a truck coming down. That was the rocks, the trees, the water, and the river of mud coming down. So yeah, there were some people killed, some people disappeared, some couldn't make it on time, and it's really devastating because when you go there, what do you tell those people that have lost everything, and you don't have $10 million to help everybody to rebuild their homes? So it's really heartbreaking, but you know what? They were so grateful to receive something that could help them rebuild their homes. And you know what? They were also very grateful that we were there asking them how they were feeling, and we were praying for them. Really, that's really touching. When we went back to the hotel that day, we were praying. And truly I can tell you, I said, Lord, what can I complain about? When you see these people, they have lost everything, and they're so faithful, and they are praying with that faith. Really, those people teach us so much about faith and about Jesus. You have no idea how much. Yeah, you too.
And, we went into these communities with the pastors and the leaders, and, we asked them, what do you really need? Because, we could have went in there with thousands and thousands of bags of food, Because maybe we think that they need food, but they really need cement blocks and the zinc for the roof. And we went into this one, we drove and pulled into this one little community. There was old ladies around, and these ladies were like this. And I told Lou, I said, something's wrong here. I think you need to ask these ladies what's going on. So Lou's, you know, she's quite a people person and a relationship building person. And she asked him, and the ladies started opening up. Well, there was NGOs, nonprofit organizations here. Right after this happened, they took pictures of our house being destroyed, made us sign paperwork, made us show a ID, made us do this, fill out paper and everything else. And they said they'll be back. That was 6 months ago. So when Lou said, hey, come to the church tomorrow to pick up your cement blocks or zinc, those ladies probably said, oh yeah, sure. But when they came to the church the next day, wow, they were so happy. They started crying, hugging us, saying, thank you. And they couldn't believe that somebody really listened to them. And that's what we need to do. And pray for them, man. That's what we really need to do as missionaries, just to listen to the stories and listen to the needs from the people.
We are there connecting the church in mission, but we are there to build relationships. And that takes a long time because people distrust us because we are foreigners. And especially when some others have been taking advantage of them, imagine how hard it is. But praise the Lord that they hear about the Methodist Church. Praise the Lord that they hear that American brothers and sisters from UMC are helping and that they love them. Even though they will never meet each other, God is working through your hearts to bless them. And you should see how powerful prayers they do for all of you, even though they don't know you.
Are there many other denominations that are helping this?
There are other denominations, but we are trying to build those relationships down there in order to work together and not just in an isolated way. But that takes also time. Because sometimes people want to be just like on the spotlight and I am the only one who helps. And this is not about Lulu's mission or Rich's mission. This is God's mission. So we all need to learn to work together. But that takes time. But we're moving forward. I expect that someday we could all sit together and work together for the benefit of everybody there. We also have clinics. That is in our headquarters in the Methodist Church. We have a clinic once a month. So they receive attention. They have their basic test of blood sugar at a very low price. We have also a clinic in Boca Costa, and it's also sponsored. They go there once a month, and both are Guatemalan people that are serving there. Because the idea is to empower Guatemala. This is not about just coming in us and doing everything. No, we need to empower the local people, our local brothers and sisters, and that's what we are there for. And the doctors and nurses are Guatemalan, so that's what we're doing. We're starting to look for NGOs there that want to work side by side with us, and they are non-profit organizations. So yeah, we're moving a little forward, step at a time. We also have scholarships. When teams send money, we gather the people, we tell them how much money they're going to receive, they sign document receipt, and then I send a report to the donors here, so everybody is clear in how much money is being for the school. Yeah, of course. We have the Stove Builders of Guatemala that I already told you. This is an advanced number of the United Methodist Church, and they are working to build these stoves that are a little big, and they are fixed and made of concrete. We also have houses that we're building, and we're coming to 2 points that I would like to highlight. Our Guatemalan Methodist Church do not have a budget, and the pastors do not have an earning. They do not have a salary. So that has made us turn out sometimes just to be waiting for grants. So we focus, and God said something in our hearts, in Rich's heart and in mine. I'm going to start first with Rich, and I'm going to end with a big project that we have for women. And it's Rich, as an American guy, look at that Methodist camp that we have in the MOA, and he wants to improve it, and he has been looking for fundraising in order to be self-sufficient. We talk and discuss this with the board, the members of the board that are pastors, national pastors, and what Rich is doing is to update the Methodist camp, but he can tell you more about that.
Okay, before we go to the camp, these stoves are an awesome thing because these people cook on the ground, open fire, use lots of wood. People always think big fires, hot. These stoves have smaller fire boxes in them, so you're using smaller pieces of wood. And say if you used 5 cords for 6 months, it backs them down to only 2 cords, which they have to buy, or they have to carry, or they have to have somebody haul in for them. And it saves on the trees and everything. So these 2 stove projects that they have down there are really efficient. And one stove project has a water filter for clean water. So they get a stove and a water filter in. Okay, the camp, it was built in 2003, 2004 by Methodist people from the States, funded it. It's been not taken care of for as many years as it has been, and it's been really getting down, graded, no mains, no nothing on. Don't touch the wires, don't do this, don't do that. I went in there and I went, wow, this place should have burned up 20 years ago with the electrical system that they had in there. So as an electrician, we ripped out all the wires, every piece of wire that was in that place, we ripped it out. We put everything in conduit, put a new panel box in, grounded it out, new switches, new everything in. So when you take a shower, a hot shower, you won't go like this and splash water up and go zit. You'll be, nice shower and stuff like that. So we've been doing that. We've been putting new ceilings up because the ceilings were really bad before because they put a roof on a couple of years ago, and when they put the roof on, they just used the cheapest material that they could use, and the roof was leaking, so it made damage on the ceiling that was there. So we tried to seal some of the places where it was leaking, but it still needs a new roof on, and it needs to be put on the right way. And it's like, okay, we need to do that. We need the funds to do that. But who's going to supervise that job? Nobody wants to take it on themselves to supervise. So my conference said, okay, if you get the donations, you're supervising that job. We want you to supervise. We want you to hire who you want. We want you to get the right material and everything to do that roof right. But there's a lot. We've been painting there. We've been painting the dorms, started painting the dorms and stuff. We painted the ladies' dorms first in a pretty violet color with a nice violet trim. And the board guys, the macho guys on the board said, why did you do the ladies' rooms first? Why didn't you do our dorms first? I said, because we have to keep the ladies happy, and we have to make sure that they're happy so they could cook for us when we're there. Yeah, so I tried to do that reverse psychology on them. And there's a lot more to do because when they put the old roof on, they let the eaves open, and anything could come into the eaves. I found some stuff like stucco down there, but it's like plastic fiberglass that you can cut it up and slide it into slots where it needs. Don't have to paint, don't have to do nothing. So we got a long ways to go. It's just, Lord, I always tell him, give me the strength, because I'll be 69 years old in September. So I always ask God, keep giving me the courage to go out there, because it's hard sometimes to go out there for a whole week, because I stay there for a whole week at a time every month. When workers, Guatemala workers, to help try to get things done and straighten out there. What else do we need at the camp? We need, toilets, and we just need people to come and paint. So when groups come, they can stay there instead of staying at fancy hotels and stuff like, if they want to stay there. And I always tell group leaders, come down and look this camp over, because it's beautiful. It's by a lake, it's secured, there's a church there, there's a kitchen facility there. Just come down and look at it. And if it's suitable for your group,
the idea is to make the Methodist camp self-sufficient. So now the board can have a budget. We will invite not only teams to stay there, but they could rent the facilities to another churches and get an earning. So we are trying to start thinking about self-sufficiency. And this takes us to the next project that we are starting, and that is the Women Project. What is it about? In 2018, a group of women from Guatemala met Jody. She's in charge of Encounters of Christ for Latin America from the Western Pennsylvania Conference. And they requested, these Guatemalan women, they requested her for money to start a sewing project. And she said, like, yeah, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna give you the loan, but it's not gonna be a grant. You're gonna pay it back with no interest whenever you decide to pay it back. So I was like, that's something new. We have not done that before. And it's like, well, let's try. So we didn't give them money. They went to choose their materials. So Jody and I were at that time with the wheelchair distribution in Lemoyne. And we went there with them. We bought the material. They knew how much it was for the material. And they agreed to pay that in like 8 months. Because they were going to start making things and then sell it in the market. And then now it was 2019. And then when they were going to pay, COVID hits. And it's like, oops, I guess this is done. Thank you very much. God bless you. But guess what? No. The women paid 1 year later. That was almost a year and a half or 2 years. But they paid back the money. Because the only thing that we tell them is, please pay us back so we can start another self-sufficient project. So that was the first. And as COVID hit and we understood that tourists were not coming and they couldn't sell their products, then another group of women from another Methodist church, they decided, why don't we start a poultry project? And it's like, well, yeah, why not? So this is a sewing project that they started. You can see that here is an American guy sitting with them. A team studying a master from Florida State University came down and helped us like to think about a business plan for them in order to improve their own conditions. That is a loom that you could see in the middle. Most of the houses you could see in Chichicastenango have some looms, but they do not own it. They belong to somebody that is wealthy. They pay pennies and they get the material, but they don't make a profit. So this project is going to the root because we're getting rid of the middleman. They make their own products, they sell it, they get the profit, they reinvest, they continue improving and doing more products, but now they have a profit for their kids that they can go to school, they can buy school supplies, they can buy shoes, they can buy a uniform for the kids. And then the next group says, a poultry project. Let's buy chicken so we can have eggs and we can have chicken meat. So they sell eggs. Their kids have protein because they can eat eggs daily, but they also have chicken to sell. They continue reinvesting the money. So when they were done, after 6 months, they come back with the money and they tell us, look how many, that you see, it's producing one day with their chickens. So they were very happy because they were selling it and they were making a profit.
And we don't go into these communities and force our ideas on them. We go into these communities and ask them, what are they capable of doing, empowering them to think at what they could do to do these self-sufficient programs. And it's like, wow, opening eyes, opening brains, opening everything, doors for the women there.
We request them to be from 3 to 7 women. They just need to give me a copy of their ID. That's it. And then I realized that there are women who do not have an ID because they do not have a birth certificate. So that tells you another whole story. So, well, at the end, this group has been a real success. They are not only having that project, now they are investing their money and they bought 3 used looms. Now they sell eggs, now they sell chicken, now they have looms and they produce their own products and they go to sell it to the market and they have their own profit. This lady that is right here, she told me, you know what, Lulu, now my kids are going to be able to go to school. They could have education and an opportunity to find a job, something that I could never do because I couldn't go to school and I don't know how to read and write. So our big dream is that this could help to stop illegal migration. People come here illegally not because they want to risk their life, but because they are offered a dream life here. They need to pay $10,000 to come here illegally, and everybody has asked me, how do they get that money? Well, they ask for loans with big interest, or they need to sell their properties. So our dream is, what if we give them a reason to stay in their own country with money enough that they could make a living and they could eat and they can survive there and make their own country go on and continue. I mean, maybe it's a big dream, but we dream big, and we expect that this will help some people, to discourage some people to come here because they will have an area. And then we have the pig project. And let me tell you something. How does it work? In 6 or 8 months, when they pay back the money, they will have already slaughtered 2 pigs. They would have already sold carnitas, chicharrones, and meat. They would pay back the money, and they could have 2 more pigs for each woman. Isn't that wonderful? That they could have their own profit, and they can develop their own skills. Isn't it wonderful? And the best news, let me tell you something. 3 days ago, they started a sheep project, because our goal is not only to connect the church in mission, but we need to empower our brothers there. So we are looking for the next leaders that will replace us. So this lady is a Guatemalan lady that works with another Guatemalan ladies, and she has encouraged them to have these projects. And now they have 3 women have 2 sheep each one, and they will be paying back the money in 6 or 8 months. What do you think about that? Isn't that wonderful? And they are empowered.
And you think about this, if there's 3 ladies in a group, each lady's family is probably 6 to 8 people in that family. So that you're helping 6, 12, 8, you're helping almost 20 people. And then it moves on to another family. If you have some more and some more and some more, to keep paying it forward and keep doing this all over. Don't keep it in. Like, we try to keep Jesus right here without saying, out there is Jesus too. We try to keep it in our hearts, and oh, maybe somebody's going to steal Jesus away from us. But we need to spread Jesus' love everywhere where we go. And sure, has it been difficult for us there? Sure, but God keeps us the strength. And I always tell Lou, God's right here protecting us. God's in the back side of us, holding our hands as we go, and then God's in the back of us, kicking us forward.
We also have a nutritional center where Valentina serves. Valentina is this lady down here. That is the one that has started other projects. And maybe you see a familiar face there. Looks like familiar, and is not rich. Who's it? Linda. Okay, so Linda has been scouting a lot of houses and places there in order to look for the best relationships to be built there. The most healthy relationships where we can spread the kingdom of God, where we can share God's love and be the hands and feet of Jesus down there in Guatemala.
Those sisters are Mario nuns, and we asked them, where did you come from? And they said, New York. And I said, where in New York? The Bronx. I said, wow. And one was 100 years old? Is
102 now.
okay.
Just made a podcast.
Okay, 102 now, and then the other one was 80. And the thing is, the one that was 102 is 102. She's on Facebook, Twitter. Now you're going, I'm not even on that. How are you learning how to do that?
Yeah, so thank you very much, Linda, for all your support. Thank you. So that's a nutritional center where Valentina serves, and that's the connecting point and the bridge that we're building with other Guatemalan women. We also have Empower Guatemala, that is the other kind of stoves that we have, and then they also give a water filter. This October, we will be receiving 3 teams. one each week, and they will be building 400 stoves. And we were just offered today to receive 100 more stoves free in support, so we're going to be building 500 stoves down there in Guatemala, and also giving 500 water filters for the family, which we always keep a follow-up to train people how to use it. This is part of what we also do with Empower Guatemala, because they also give water filters for schools. The idea is that the kids will ask their families, why aren't we using the water filter at home if we're already using it in the school? So maybe next generation will have a better health, will have clean water, and know how to use this correctly. And I would like to thank you, because thanks to your donations, we are able to be serving down there in Guatemala. I would like to know if there is any question, because if you give me the microphone, I could be here for 3 or 4 more hours. So just ask questions, please. Feel free to ask whatever you want.
Considering what we hear all the time about political, civil goings on in all these Latin American countries, and I'm sure it's in Guatemala too, how does this affect the people that you serve, the people in the islands, or, I mean, what is going on there?
Your question goes to
To the political scene that we hear.
that you have here. Let's say that the
Yeah, well,
specifically, yeah.
the drug issue and the coups and the changing of the government all the time, because that's what
I guess the marketing here doesn't help us too much to the Latin American people, because the idea that is shared is not always, maybe not the whole story, let's say. Because if you didn't know that I am a missionary and you just met me as a Mexican woman, maybe you would immediately tag me as somebody that is, you know. So maybe that doesn't help us too much. But the people we serve down there are people extremely humble, that do not have any opportunity. They don't have education, and they would like to have a chance to be somebody in their lives. Do we have problems of drug issues out there? Yeah, of course. Do we see it? No, we don't. We don't see it. Have we ever been pointed with a gun and threatened? Never. We have never been out there facing that. But we know that it exists. It does exist. I don't know if that helps you. And let me just close my comment. Richard, as an American, can tell you something else. But before coming here, we were in a church very close to Mexico City, where there's a lot of coffee plantations, a very humble church, where there are a lot of coffee plantations, and people, I mean, you think there's coffee here, I mean, you can make a living here, you can farm this. Yeah, but these coffee plantations belong to very wealthy people that are not Guatemalan. And they pay, how much do they pay a person for 8 hours labor in the sun?
$5 a day. And getting back to your point, have we ever run into any problems down there when we're building these stoves? We go in with leaders, we go in with pastors, and we go in with people that live in these communities. Have we ever been stopped going into a community to build these stoves? Yes, once. The people that run the community, they stopped us from going into that community to build the stoves. They wanted money for us coming in because they said it was an American project. And we said, you're doing something to your people in your community, you're not helping them out at all. These poor people are cooking on the ground, breathing all that dust and everything in, and you're not helping out at all. And that was the only community we had problems with, trying to get into that community, and we couldn't get into that community, so we went to other communities.
So the government doesn't help them all.
Tell them about the police doesn't mess with the communities.
Oh yeah, the police don't mess with the communities have their own vigilante. So they take care of the people. If you go into their communities and do something, they take care of you. without anybody else knowing about it. So you have to, we always have leaders of the community with us, leaders going into communities, and having to respect that both ways of the community people and us coming in as missionaries.
We don't get there and we say, hey, we have everything solved for you. Here, I have a store for you. No. We need to go through the local leader. We need to go through the local pastor. We need to wait the correct time. So that's the connection that we are making there. Is there corruption down there? Of course there it is. Are we going to change that? Nope. I'm pretty sure that no. But you know what? We're working where the Holy Spirit is opening us doors. And we're touching hearts, and God is touching hearts where we can completely open ourselves and they can completely open themselves, knowing that we are serving the Lord. We go in those communities and we, for example, you saw here. We go in these communities and that's the way we transport people, because there is no other way to move the teams. But you know what? When we get there, the pastor has already told everybody and the local leaders that we're coming. So the people there will be taking care of us and of the team. They will, and if we go there and everybody will be, hey, hello. We feel like rock stars. Just hello. So yeah, I mean, a dark side will always be anywhere. But God is protecting us and we are careful and wise. Before a team arrives, we are very wise where we are taking that team, and we go first with the leaders and we work with them and we are clear in everything. The leader that asks for money, we say thank you, we love you, God bless you. Even though this is an American project, sorry, but this belongs to the Methodist Church and we do not make corruption. I mean, what kind of Christians could we be if we are giving money to bribe? I mean, like, no, it makes no sense. So we need to be known as Christians and as Methodists because we stand for the right anywhere we are. Even though we pay prices, high prices, it doesn't matter. We do the right thing.
Lou was talking about the immigration problem and the migrants coming here. Okay, we see this on Facebook all the time. Jobs opportunities in the States. We'll get you here $50,000 to $80,000 for this job. Come and we'll get you here. We'll get you settled. We'll get you what you need. Just come. Just come. Do they get here? Sometimes. Do they make it here? They might be killed on the way. And just think, their families, or they had to pay that $10,000. If they got killed coming here, their families still have to pay those bad people that money, even though they didn't come here. And then they come here, and then maybe they have a family back there, and they forget about their family there, and they have a new family here. Or people here take advantage of them and say, okay, I'm going to pay you this for this whole week. And they work the whole week, and then the person says, well, you owe me this because you slept there for 5 days. You ate breakfast, lunch, and supper there for 5 days. So what do you really get? Maybe $30. $30 is better than $5 that they were making there, or they don't even pay them. We hear all kinds of stories about the people coming here. And it's like, that's why these self-sufficient programs are trying to keep them there with a decent wage that they don't think twice about it, that they'll stay there.
Agriculturally, how do they grow produce? Yeah, they grow all kinds of crops.
Yeah, but what kind of support do they have?
Yeah, they don't have no support.
I mean, they can have a little piece of land, but sometimes they don't even have money to get the seeds. And they depend on the weather. So if it comes, for example, when the Eta and Iota hurricanes came, they lost everything. They lost their animals. So how do you start again? If you lose your house, you lose your family, you lose your animals, you lose your land.
And you have to remember, during that Civil War, they were trying to get rid of the indigenous people. So the indigenous people went up in the highlands to stay up there, and there's nothing up there hardly for them to have a good job. They're farmers, they're fruit growers, they're whatever they could survive on, and they do not come down because they're like shunned up there. They're like, do not come here because you're not wanted here. So it's like, wow, so what do they do?
We cannot help everybody. We cannot save everybody, but we can work one family at a time. We can change a family once, then another family. So there will be 2 families in 1 year, then 3 families in the next year, 4 families. I mean, that's how we are working right now. We are making several things, yes, but God has given in our heart to start working with self-sufficiency, because there will never be money enough or grants enough to be just giving and giving and giving. And that, I mean, that's not biblical. Parable of talents. You need to give back. You need to do things. You have talents. Stop waiting that somebody comes and tells you what to do. No, it's up to you. Start doing it right now.
I'll tell you a little quick story. When we got this food distribution, there's a garbage dump close to our house, maybe an hour away from our house, and we figured we'll go up there and we'll see what's happening up there. So when we went up there, Lou has never been on a garbage dump. It's not like our job garbage dumps here. There's garbage everywhere. And it rained the night before, and you're going through a muddy road, up and down, and garbage is everywhere. And when we got there, Lou said, "Oh, do I want to get out? Lord, give me the strength to get out." I said, "If you get out, make sure you close the door, because 50,000 flies are going to come in." But anyhow, we went up there, and these people were a little leery of what we're doing there. We said that we're missionaries, and we have some food distribution bags to distribute. And they were saying, like, "Are you here to steal our jobs? Are you here to take our names? Are we doing our job right?" And they were worried about that, and said, because they don't trust nobody coming up there, because two foreigners, a Mexican and an American, going up there and saying, "Hey, we're going to bring up food for you," and they're going, "Sure." And then the next day when we went up, well, because we went to different places up in the dump, and so the lady takes charge of everything, and she said, "Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Come on up." We went up the next morning, and nobody was there. We're, "Hey, where are you?" Hey, we were yelling out their names and stuff, and then they came down. And then what was so powerful, after they got their little bag of food, Lou asked somebody to pray. And wow, the Spirit was really powerful there. They prayed so much powerful prayers that it made us cry, and made us like, holy smokes, the faith that they have.
Blessing you.
Right, blessing us, Americans, for donating that money towards those food bags, and they don't even know them, and they don't even know us. It was so awesome. I said, thank you, Lord, for just slapping us in the face, because we need that once in a while.
So you speak that language?
She does.
I speak Spanish. I do not speak Quiche. They understand Spanish, so when I meet with women for the projects, I speak Spanish, but I speak slow. When they want to come back to me, I need somebody to interpret from Quiche to Spanish, but they understand. Yes, Linda?
There may be some other questions
yeah.
back here that haven't
Sorry.
had a chance.
Any more questions?
Have I been extremely clear, or nobody understood what I said? I don't know.
And you could ask us about these pictures too, because
When we're done, you can come here in front and you could see more pictures that could tell you about what we have been doing there. No further question?
You were talking about the balloons and everything. So all of the fabric is given to them, or do they do any dyeing, or have the dyes to make the colors?
You can tell them about the careers.
it all depends. If the factory, the person that's giving them the looms, they'll bring in the material, bring in the stuff. But we've been seeing along the roads, like for thousands and thousands of feet, they'll have a post up there, and the other person's way down here going, twisting everything together, and we're going, what is that? What is that? And what they doing? What they doing? But they're twisting the different fabrics together, and they do that dyeing, and they do everything like that.
They also go to stores and buy some products because we have bought some products for them. So they have all kind of products there.
So do they market their handmade items and things to any?
No, and under the traditional way that this loan belongs to a wealthy woman or man, Guatemalan. He or she gives the supplies to do whatever they need to do. They pay them pennies, and they get all the material and go and sell it very pricey in the market. That's what regular happens. What we're doing with the self-sufficient project is we are avoiding that middle. So we give them the resources to buy their own material, we give them the materials, they make it, and they go to the market and they sell it in the market. So they get the whole profit for themselves. They can reinvest money, they can have a profit for their families to buy whatever they need, and they can continue their circle. What is good with this, they can sell their own products there, but we are also bringing some stuff here to sell. They have started to make some stalls, and they have even developed their own brand. They made it. They have the name in Quiche, in Spanish and English, and it's Weaving Roots. They decided. And they have the quetzal, that is the national bird there. So, I mean, they are developing many skills. That's not imposed by us, but what we're trying to do is to get rid of the middleman. Here.
This is their typical colors. Like, and this was made by a well-known lady, one of them ladies with those pants and stuff.
Not a typical outfit, but a typical clothes.
typical colors. And the thing is, we had lots of stuff, but when we went to our annual conference in Western Pennsylvania, 1st of June, everything went so quick. This is the only 2 things we have left. And Lou's been telling people that, yeah, we'll be bringing you stuff so you can sell, so you can buy, so you can do that. This is the only thing, two things that we're sorry to, we don't have a lot more. But if you want something, we'll take an order for you because they're doing special design things for whoever wants it.
There is organizations like down in Harrisburg called 10,000 Villages.
I know.
And, you know, they bring in handmade things like that. And I have seen some things in Guatemala in some.
I am pretty sure they do, but we don't know if that money goes 100% to them. We are sure the money goes 100% to them. We assure you.
I wouldn't say.
Some people have been asking if they want to make a donation, how do they make that check?
That depends. If this goes to this project, we can talk about that later because Linda knows how to wire the money through the BIN bank account in order to be accountable to both sides.
So we would have checks made to our church and then we would one check to you.
Yeah, we can talk about that with Linda. She's talking about the projects. Wait.
This is an announcement about check writing, because I've made more than my share of goofs. Tonight's offering is a free will offering to support them in their many, many, many miles of travel. They're still going to drive to Texas to do itinerations, for goodness sake. So tonight's offering, the check really should be made out to Richard Moroska, M-R-O-C-Z-K-A. It's not as hard as QC Wolf, and you all learned how to spell that. This is a free will offering for their expenses, because they do a lot of this on their own dime. Contributions to the General Board of Global Ministries are way down. If you want to get involved in supporting a women's project, microloans, you need to contact Babs Bristow and the Mission Committee, because they're right on it doing exciting things. We're going to be starting 7 new microloans this summer because of this church and other donors. But tonight's check, free will offering, which baskets I think are going to be back by the door, please make the check out to Richard Moroska, this handsome man on my left. You all are amazing. We are so grateful for your service, for your faithfulness, for your kindness for the kingdom of